Welcome to the first video of this series, Road to 105, and I'm going to start this off with more of a motivational, kind of video, and it's to go over the reasons why we should start the gym. Now, I'm talking about everybody because I believe, the gym, although people may see me as obsessed with it, I'm not really obsessed with it. I'm just obsessed with, bettering myself, which is the whole point of going to the gym, because bettering oneself and, progression releases, dopamine and you feel good. But that's a very good reason to, start the gym. So this is for people who are thinking, should I go to the gym? Should I not? But I'm going to tell you right now, you need to, because I guarantee in this, particularly in my country of, lovely Britannia, people are very miserable, and you tend to find people who are miserable tend to not have the greatest, health ever. They tend to indulge in things like, alcohol, smoking, drugs, all sorts of stuff. And I can tell you this from some of it from experience, but also some of it from watching other people do it. Of course, the smoking and drugs bit I used to drink, but then I stopped. But essentially, I've visually seen what happens when people take those stuff, because that's the only happiness that they'll only get. Because if, in my personal opinion, it's only temporary happiness because a chemical is essentially doing it for you. It's like, these antidepressants. Antidepressants are really shit, in my opinion, for, depression. And, alter for deleting oneself measures, because you need to get someone a more long-lasting, healthier alternative, which, in my opinion, the gym is insanely good in many departments, like even stress, stress and depression, some things that many people deal with. And I have found, I used to be, very alt-F4ing, kind of person. I used to think about hurting myself in many ways and all that kind of stuff. And really, the gym has kind of like directed me away, because the whole reason why I felt like that is because I didn't have direction, really. I just felt like my life was pointless and, why am I here? But now I have more, goals I really want to, achieve in life. And that's really all down to the gym. If I never went to the gym, I would have never met powerlifting. And, powerlifting allows you to constantly progress. Like, literally, I failed the other week. Like, literally a week ago, I failed. I bombed out of my competition. Literally, I did so crap. But it kind of gave me the inspiration to go back and try be better. Now, that, in the grand scheme of it, I would have never done that if my mentality was different. And that's really what, I want to spread the message of, because, the old me would have given up. The older me, well, not older, younger me would have, given up and everything and would have thought, oh, what's the point? But now I'm more of a motivated person, because, the gym hasn't been a, constant, progression. It's been a up and down, up and down, and up and down. And I haven't quit, because I've had a shoulder injury. I've had a, hip flexor injury. I've had a back injury. I've had all sorts of injuries, but I still keep going forward. And that's what you need to, practice doing, because it gives you that independence of moving forward. Because all these, chemicals and people saying, things will be okay are only temporary options. You need yourself as your, cheerleader, basically, because do I constantly think I'm the greatest? No. but I do think I'm the best version of myself the majority of the time. You know, when I'm going in for these lifts, although it may look like I'm very neutral, I am hyping myself up. I'm making sure, you know, I am pushing myself. I am pushing myself and being that cheerleader that I really need. And when times do get rough, of course, I'm human, and, you know, think of stuff and all that kind of business, but I do eventually pick myself up and, you know, move on. And that is what the gym kind of like ingrains you. It changes your mentality, because those who quit in the gym tend to be those people that when they get hit an obstacle, they just quit. But I've been one of those people where I've hit an obstacle, felt like shit, felt like quitting, but I kept on moving forward. And that is what the gym is all about. It's not about, you know, all these sad, depressive things. Most of the like short form videos I do are for entertainment purposes. They're not to be taken seriously unless it's, you know, something educational. But literally, most of the jokes are fine. You know, they're not like me being serious. They're taking the piss out of people who do that most of the time. You know, say, this and that. I started going to the gym because a girl broke my heart. And then the whole motivation just stops because they got a new girlfriend. Like, I've been in relationships. Since I've been going to the gym, I've been in relationships. I didn't have relationships before the gym, I'll just say that. But I've always stuck to what it was because I knew I was more important in a way. Not in a selfish way, but in more of a, you know, this is my purpose inherently, you know, to make myself happy. And yeah, you have to sometimes be selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish. Well, of course, sometimes you need to be selfless. But the gym will change you physically, so you'll get more confidence because you got the body that you may have wanted for so long. But also your mental, you know, you do not feel as sad and all this kind of stuff. And I just want to spread that message that you should start the gym. Stop trying to debate in yourself, or is it too much money? Some gyms, like Pure Gym, are fine for the average beginner. Like literally, how much is it? £14 a month. And then you have, you know, JD, £20 a month. My gym is like £20 a month. Like literally, all these things are not preventing you. Monetarily, it's not preventing you, because I know a lot of people can afford the gym, because I see crackheads in the gym. So essentially, it's just you versus you. And you need to start your journey now, because in a month's time, you'll be regretting it, but you'll still keep, you know, being the you that, you know, doesn't progress, doesn't do anything. But the gym and that mentality of keep going, even though it's not the greatest workout in the world, keep going, you know, that ingrains that mentality. And I've almost been lifting for 3.5 years, and it's really, you know, ingrained. It does take a while, but it does happen. So stick to it, get in the gym and start lifting and losing weight, all this kind of stuff. Build some muscle, because muscle is also healthy, because it prevents cancers. And, you know, when you're older, you don't have someone, you know, literally being there while you're on the toilet. So hit some fucking legs too. So, but anyway, get swole, size is the prize. It's gains o'clock, motherfucker. Whatever that guy says. And yeah, we'll get into the start of the Road to 105 deload week, and let's get it. So, starting off with the deload of 3 reps, top set, and then back off sets being 5 reps of a different weight. So
with a deload, I'm going extremely light. As you can see, 165 is on the bar, and then I did 150 for my back off sets. They felt very easy, you know, it's not at all challenging for me. This is just merely getting me back into it after, you know, of course, my competition and everything. And of course, I'm using my powerlifting gear as well, you know, just to more or less feel it out and, you know, get a real feel for, you know, all these kinds of weights and stuff like that. But also I feel like this, you know, singlet enables me to, you know, stay in position a lot better. And onto bench press, of course, going extremely light. This was like a breeze, no challenge at all. As you can see, the arch is present and everything, but I might see about getting my grip wider and stuff like that, but also changing over the bars. Where I did at a, you know, powerlifting competition, there is, you know, grip on the middle part, which it's inherently a squat bar, but you know, I'm thinking about, you know, just changing those out so inherently I have my, you know, position for my hands and everything for when I eventually do get back to competition, hopefully in December, and, you know, enable myself to go to, you know, nationals or whatever. But anyway, doing some incline press for the chest. This is just because I couldn't get on a cable, well, a double cable that is, in time, because, you know, I think this was very early in the morning and I had to get to work. So essentially this would have been added in with, you know, some flies, but you know, unfortunately just have to go with the pressing, which, you know, it still does the work. I just did 3 sets of it and then proceeded to go on to a single cable afterwards. So I still trained my chest, and you know, hopefully next push day I'll be able to get on double cables, but that will all depend on how busy the gym is. So yeah, but anyway, moving on to more of the hypertrophy exercises, because of course we do not want to be fat and push a lot of weight. We want to be, you know, a healthy body fat range and push a lot of weight. So the best way to do that is to do hypertrophy, which you know, I'm doing some hypertrophy on my shoulders here. Lateral raises are very good for, you know, the side delt. Here I'm doing a single arm variation, which I'm not too bothered about because I do what's called a Y raise on a double cable just because it takes less time, and, you know, I hate doing anything that takes ages, so it just helps me be more faster with my workouts and stuff like that. Meanwhile, this took a bit longer than you know, I wanted, but overall I still got the stimulation and everything, so no reason to worry. But yeah, when it comes to, you know, getting up to the 105, near enough the 105 weight category, I need to, you know, of course, focus on building muscle and making that muscle effective, because, you know, I'm trying to, you know, get stronger, which, you know, I'm doing my strength training alongside my hypertrophy training to get bigger, so we will see. But bigger and stronger we will get, and, you know, hopefully bigger numbers, because I'm aiming for, you know, some pretty hefty numbers from now. So we'll just have to see, inevitably. how this goes. And yeah, hopefully in December, next competition, and I'm a 105, and I get the, nationals, kind of total, and then I go to nationals, be stronger, and compete there, because what's life without a bit of competition? But anyway, moving on to tricep extensions. These I'd say are very important, to me particularly, because I'm trying to make the lateral head, which is the biggest head in the tricep, a lot bigger, because it's the biggest head, and this stimulates it the most, because it's I think it's like just purely extension, which works with the medial head, which the medial head is the smallest head in the tricep. So I'm just trying to think about it tactically. Usually I would put a push down variation in as well, but I was very short on time, so I decided to miss that and just go straight home, which was probably the best decision, because I needed to be at work for a certain time, so it's just better for me inherently. But yeah, most of my workouts are going to stay relatively the same, unless some things come up and I'm like, I need to do this differently. But essentially this structure has worked a lot better than a lot of other structures for me, so I'm keeping it relatively the same, but I'm just mixing a few bits, which of course I've got my 3 rep on squat and bench, but on deadlift I'm doing 5 rep max. So it's just essentially switching those little things up, so like doing different rep ranges for stuff, because I'm in desperate need of a deadlift PR. So by going to 5 rep PR, I might able to get that momentum back in order to surpass my 1 rep max, which I still haven't managed to do. So it's just a matter of time. But anyway, as you can see in the compression shirt, looking pretty good overall, but yeah, it'll take time to build more muscle, which here we're doing strength, and then we'll proceed to go on to the hypertrophy bits. So I'm doing 170 for 5, and then backing off with 160 for 5 for 3 sets. Now you're probably wondering, why are you doing 5 reps? It's because deadlift is a very taxing movement, and I do not want to over screw myself by going 7 reps or something. But this just the back off sets are basically the most important sets, and by doing 5 reps on deadlift, I feel a lot stronger on those. So essentially just drilling that in and doing my top set of 5, and then doing my back off sets as like 5. I just don't think doing more than 5 reps on deadlift will change much, to be honest. So I'm doing a 5 basically. So but these felt pretty good. Of course I haven't got chalk on, I haven't got baby powder on, because this is probably the easiest they'll get, to be honest. But next week we'll be doing 180, I believe, 180, and then 170 for 5, and then for squat I think it is 180, I believe, 180 on squat, and then for bench press it'll be 110, around those numbers. But you'll have to just stay tuned to see what happens, because some things may change. But onto cable row, which I still feel in my traps right now. So they definitely were effective, but of course some people may say my form is shit, but I am squeezing at the back. You just can't, see it from this angle, because of course there's no room to put my camera. That won't be in anyone's way, and I'm more conscious about people around me. So I just decided, screw it, I'm not gonna put my camera in people's way. I'm just gonna put it in front of me, which does provide a bit of a crap angle, but it does show that I do this for hypertrophy. And of course, doing a drop set at the end is a staple of my workouts, because I believe a classic drop set on exercises like this does stimulate growth, and you gotta push to failure, and it works on pretty much anything really. Some movements I don't inherently do it, of course, on my strength movements and everything, but also like my bicep stuff, where I'm using mainly dumbbells, where most of the time the dumbbells that I want are being used. So I do not do a drop set on those, but if I'm on a cable, it is way easier to do a drop set. So as you can see, when I get to here, I'm going to do a drop set of lat pull downs. And some of you may be wondering, why am I wearing a compression in this hot weather? This is just because in competition I have to have a shirt underneath my singlet, which is required. So essentially I have to, for my primary days, have a shirt on that is similar to this. It's just I can get away with a compression just because I'm not at like nationals yet, which if I do get to nationals, I do need a proper shirt, which they're kind of strict with shirts. So essentially it's just a matter of time when that happens. But if I'll only change my shirt if that does happen, essentially. But moving on to pullovers, which you're probably wondering, does this provide any help towards my other lifts for powerlifting? It does. Back is a very important factor when you're doing bench press, because you're squeezing your back, and your back is supporting your your chest, your arms in the press, and it's giving that tension to press off. So training your back is extremely important, especially if you want to get stronger, which I think my next video will involve how to bench press properly, because I've seen so many times people doing it wrong. They either got their ass off the bench, or they're not getting the bar to their chest. They're just going like they have arthritis. So, and you could have arthritis, but I'm pretty sure a person with arthritis doesn't have that bad of range of motion, to be honest. Some of the ones I've seen, Jesus Christ, you need to get it down to your chest, but people won't listen, will they? So doing some hammer curl preachers here. This is mainly to beef up my forearms and biceps at the same time, because I've been flamed for my forearms forever, and I find these are very stimulating for my forearm as well as my bicep as well. So doing these inherently is just way better for me. So but if you're definitely struggling with like forearm growth, I'd definitely suggest these, because not only is it like targeting your bicep, but it's also targeting your forearm, meaning they'll grow alongside each other. But also, you can do the motorbike revs or whatever, and the Sulik forearm thing, which I do, but I didn't have the time to on this day, particularly when it was busy. So it's just sometimes you just need to skip some things that may not be as important, because on my forearms, those bits are, you know, relatively developed. It's just the rest of the forearm that I need to, you know, kind of level up my game on, which you know, will be the brachialis, which I'm focusing on here. So but yeah, overall, forearm growth is going quite well. Even while I was doing a cut, you know, it was still going, and yeah, it's coming along quite nicely. You know, trying to thicken the forearms and everything, it can be a difficult task, but it does take time. Like anything, you know, I'm planning on making my legs bigger through these blocks and everything, so hopefully that does happen, because I just want my quads to really grow and everything, and, you know, gain more power out of those. But yeah, again, that will be a time thing. It's not like they'll grow overnight and, you know, I'll be like happy and everything. It's just like, you know, doing certain things that will stimulate that growth, and, you know, try and improve as much as I can, which it'll all depend. But after, you know, hammer curl preachers, I went on to do, like, you know, basically just curls, incline curls, where I'm just on a, you know, bench doing them, which I would have preferred to have the bench further back, but it was kind of a bit too late for that. So I just went with the flow and just did whatever. But yeah, that's essentially my workouts done. Therefore, the first part of this week. The second part will be out in a few days, so stay tuned. But overall, you know, the posing will be at the end, where you can see the physique and everything in the upper half. And yeah, there's not much to really add in terms of my workout. It's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.